to person through coughing, sneezing, or talking. Symptoms include fever, cough, headache, runny nose, generalized body aches, and fatigue. There is no specific treatment for the flu, and the symptoms usually dissipate after 3 to 7 days. Because it is caused by a virus, antibiotics are not used to treat the flu. Persons are encouraged to rest and drink lots of fluids. Panadol is recommended for fever and body aches associated with the flu. However, aspirin should be avoided due to the risk of bleeding. To decrease the spread of flu, persons are encouraged to get their flu shot annually and practice good cough hygiene. Additional information can be provided by your community clinic or the Health Education Division at the Ministry of Health. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health in partnership with the Public Hospitals Authority.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
Coming up in the news, Health and Wellness Minister revealing plans for a new hospital on Grand Bahama. Bahama Rock Limited may put a dent in the island's unemployment numbers through its latest project. And we continue our one-week series on the New Day government 1 year later. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening all. I'm Ramiko Knowles. Thank you so much for tuning in. Topping the news, the healthcare system here on Grand Bahama is about to get the upgrade residents here have been waiting for. This according to the Minister of Health and Wellness, the Honorable Dr. Michael Darville, who says that the plans for a new hospital are almost complete. He also adds that the emergency section of the Rand Memorial Hospital will also be updated to receive patients in need of that service. Aja Kwan has this update.
It is the cry of many residents here on the island. An unofficial charge, Grand Bahama still has no hospital. Well, that may be ending soon as the Davis Cooper administration's plans for a new hospital is near completion. Hurricane Dorian swept the island's premier hospital on Grand Bahama in 2019, leaving the medical facility with significant damage. And although the previous administration spent $20 million renovating the Rand Memorial Hospital, the structure sitting in a low-lying area remains an issue. In June of this year, Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, noted that plans for breaking ground for the new hospital was impeded due to land issues. However, that matter in question was pivoted as Minister Darville announced in July that the government finished the geotechnical studies on the land that they were looking at. And now, Minister Darville reports that the plans for the land is upon completion.
A few months ago, the Prime Minister was on Grand Bahama, and he indicated that a new state-of-the-art hospital is part of our blueprint for change. We've been working almost for a year now on that particular hospital. I don't know if you paid close attention to the newspaper, but you will see where we acquired some land. We had our engineers at the site. We have done the geotechnical studies, so we know that the land is capable of handling a multi-story complex. And right now, we're in the final stages with the funding. Once that happens, the resident of Grand Bahama will be informed exactly where we're heading.
Currently, there is no waiting room for patients who are in need of emergency services at the Rand. Instead, they are forced to wait outside, a concern that has come to light by many Grand Bahamians. The Minister of Health and Wellness announcing a plan to alleviate the congestion in that area.
We have a prefabricated hurricane-resistant structure that we will erect that will connect with the accident emergency, so we'll do a better job triaging COVID from non-COVID patients and to be able to actually implement a more critical care approach through triage at the accident emergency at the Rand Memorial Hospital. The residents of Grand Bahama could be assured that we understood and hear their cries about the congestion of seeing patients outside as a result of COVID. We are about to correct that.
And as to when those plans would be released, Minister Darville could not say. However, he did note that the new state-of-the-art hospital is a part of the integration of medical education to provide better services to patients and those pursuing a medical career. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Azra Quant.
In other news, a company used to export aggregate to the U.S. and the Caribbean, Bahama Rock, announcing some big news that can create more jobs for the people of Grand Bahama. As Yolanda Thompson reports, Bahama Rock is making headway.
Described as the gateway to the industrial sector, Bahama Rock has been contracted to create the world's largest man-made harbor for the Western Hemisphere. This spells good news for the island's tourism and cruise sector. Revealing remarkable details on the project, Bahama Rock Inventory Manager Brian Burrows sharing that the company has entered into an agreement with a world-renowned cruise line and also possible businesses.
We started working on that project, and we continue to work on that project. And we're just about complete as far as the mining part of that area. We're using our machines now just to flatten the surface to make it usable.
Burrows says that mining on the grounds and enlarging the harbor has created job opportunities for many. And he notes that if there were no industrial companies, the economic impact of Grand Bahama today would be no more.
We started mining back in 1988. That's when I joined the company also. And before that, the harbor was very small. It wasn't that deep. So the larger cruise ships and tanker boats wasn't able to come into the harbor. And then in the early 90s, there was a plan for a container port. And so we made provision, we made it possible for a container port to come in to Freeport Harbor to create thousands of jobs. Following that, there was the shipyard, the Grand Bahama shipyard. And so now we had to go back and mine that area so that the shipyard can now come into Grand Bahama. Again, hundreds and thousands of jobs. And then finally, the Bradford Marine Terminal, we also mined that area so that Bradford Marine and other entities would be able to set up their shop.
Theodore Mackey, Pit and Quality Control Manager, shares the construction phase and how it works.
Many people don't realize the value that we bring to the island. You have drilling and blasting that take place. You have we lay out patterns. Everything out there is a design. And as a result of that design, we lay out a pattern for the drills. The drills will drill the pattern. We'll come behind and have a control. The digit shot is what we call the caps that we use for the blasting. When we blast that, we basically have the drag line will come behind and retrieve all of that material. And as a result of that, we now can take that material and haul it to the plant and produce limestone aggregate, what is used for construction work.
Burrows say that wherever there is a possibility of developing, those are the areas Bahama Rock is interested in mining, which is their purpose. Bahama Rock has an open door policy for persons that have more questions on their operations. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Yolanda Thompson.
In news from the crime beat, police officials say the search is still on for two men wanted on Grand Bahama. Police at the Southwestern Division on Grand Bahama want to question 32-year-old Winston Lindsay of Pratt Alley and Cowpin Road in connection with housebreaking and stealing and a stolen vessel. He stands 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighs 175 pounds, dark brown complexion with dark brown eyes and average build. Also, police are still looking to question 28-year-old Lawrence Bevins of number 23 Duke Drive. He is wanted for possession of an unlicensed firearm. He stands 6 feet 1 inch tall, dark brown complexion and slim build. Press Liaison Officer Stephen Roll gives us an update on the possible whereabouts of these men.
As it relates to Lawrence Bevins, who's wanted for possession of an unlicensed firearm, he is believed to be between Abaco and Grand Bahama. Winston Lindsay, he's wanted for housebreaking and stolen vessel. He is believed to be between Nassau and Bimini.
Yet again, he is giving a stern warning to residents who may be assisting in harboring these two wanted men.
I want to urge the public who may find themselves assisting these men or any other persons who are wanted that it is an offense, and if you're caught, you will be arrested, and if convicted, you can face anywhere between 6 months to 5 years.
Now, anyone spotting Bevins or Lindsay should contact police emergency at 911, National Crime Prevention Office at 302-8430 or 1, or the Crime Stoppers at 352-1919, 350-3106, 9, the Family Islands, or 300-8476. Well, meantime, Commissioner of Police Clayton Fernanda revealing that CCTVs are expected to be positioned in hotspots on Grand Bahama soon. He says the electronic devices are on the way and will play a major role in the fight against crime.
With respect to our technology to assist in the fight against crime, you will see in the coming months we're going to put our CCTV in some hot spots, and also the short spotter. That will be on board a company with the CCTV. So that is in motion. We have already looked at the data to identify our hotspots where most of these crimes are happening, where the guns are being fired in our communities every other night, where the shooting happening.
The commissioner also adding that the shot spotters will be compatible with CCTV.
Somebody fires a shot in an area, the CCTV is there and will swing into the area where the shots fired, and it's likely that you will catch the individual live or moving from the scene. Our officers are able to respond and catch these individuals either in the act or moving away.
Switching gears now, a retired superintendent of police reflecting on the moment he became a royal chauffeur as he was selected to be the driver for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II during a visit to Grand Bahama in 1994. The retired officer calls it the pinnacle of his 38-year career as a member of the Royal Bahamas Police Force.
It was in 1994. I was selected by my superiors to chauffeur Queen Elizabeth II.
Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II visited the Bahamas on 4 occasions before making her first visit to Grand Bahama with her husband, Prince Philip, in March of 1994. At that time, retired Officer Noel Curry was serving as a member on the Royal Bahamas Police Force for 12 years. Yet, he was chosen to be the royal chauffeur.
It started out for me in that year at the airport when we collected her from the airport. Our first visit was to, at that time, Mahogany Street Primary, which is now Hugh Campbell Primary. And as we pulled up, I can just see and hear the crowds just cheering, you know, and I can see the red carpet just being unfolded.
The following stops included the Garnet Lavarity Justice Center, a tour of the Lucaine Resort property, and lunch at the residence of the late Sir Jack Hayward. As they drove to various locations, Curry says the Queen asked him a number of questions about the island.
She wanted to know the makeup of the island in terms of settlements, the people, the makeup of people and, you know, residents throughout the island. And throughout our journey, she asked me a number of questions which I was able to give her the answers to. At times, the late Prince Philip would ask questions also, but not as much as Her Majesty.
The head of state, Queen Elizabeth II, was chauffeured around Freeport in a Rolls Royce. Before her arrival, Curry says he underwent a vigorous vetting process, inclusive of driving tests. Security measures were also heightened on that day.
As simple as the residence where we're going for dinner, right? We had to scope it out, make sure everything is fine in terms of security. No hedges, no tall bushes and branches, but it's a safe and secure environment, similar to the school, Hugh Campbell Primary now, formerly Mahogany Street. And even at the Justice Center, there were a lot of security in the background that persons did not see.
He extends condolences to the royal family.
Rest eternal grant unto her, O Lord, and let her soul rest in peace. Amen.
And as we continue our series on the government's upcoming one-year anniversary tonight, our Simone Davis speaks candidly with some political attorneys who are evaluating the government's performance thus far. Here's that report.
Is it really a new day? Well, according to some local and political attorneys, since the Progressive Liberal Party won the general election last year, the government has faced many challenges. And one attorney says he believes much of those challenges stem from what they inherited from the previous administration.
We need to consider the context in which this present administration took power. We were ravaged. Our economy, indeed, was ravaged by the COVID-19 pandemic. There was a lot of criticism of the way in which the prior administration handled the pandemic in terms of their official policies and responses. We therefore had an electorate which was highly discontented, and indeed the decision of the prior administration to call an early election is still viewed by many political commentators as a fatal decision.
But despite those challenges and the snap election, attorney Carla Scott Clare deems the Prime Minister and his deputy the master team.
What you've seen so far under this administration is a government that listens. I am moved by that, a government that listens. And in listening, you can tell that the Prime Minister's objective is to ensure that what is done in the best interest of the Bahamian people in mind.
While acknowledging the afflictions of the Davis Cooper administration in the last year, attorney Cassietta McIntosh Pelicanos says she sees movement on Grand Bahama since the PLP took office.
Of course, you're going to have your detractors. That's politics, right? But when we're looking out for the good of the country and the good of the island, I don't think many will disagree that the Progressive Liberal Party has been doing a good job.
Though he supports the efforts of the present administration, Attorney Johnson is suggesting that several issues be addressed immediately, specifically on Grand Bahama.
In Grand Bahama, we need to have the tourism product improved drastically. We need to have our tourist facilities repaired and brought back into operation.
And here's what these attorneys rate the government's progress thus far.
Thus far, I'll give them an A. That's why I'll give them an A. And I hope they stay there, because I'll be the first to downgrade that.
I would give the government an A-.
I would grade them at a B.
In the next part of this series, we will talk one-on-one with a member of the official opposition and a former member of parliament on how they feel about the government's performance 1 year later. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Simone Davis.
Thanks so much, Simone. And this just in, the Cabinet Office advises the general public that on Monday, September 19th, 2022, the state funeral for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II will be held. The day will be observed as a national holiday. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Stay with us. There's more news when we come back.
Come on down.
Officials of the government, as well as members of the general public on Grand Bahama, are advised that the Book of Condolence to pay tribute to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II will be set up Thursday, September 15th and Friday, September 16th, 2022 at the Harold de Gregory Complex, Mall Drive. Officials of the government are invited to sign on Thursday, September 15th, and the general public is invited to sign on Friday, September 16th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Journey to a serene oasis. Renew. Welcome to Renew Day Spa. For appointments, call 352-RENU.
Freeport Quality Exterminators Maintenance and Supplies Company. providing commercial and residential pest control, professional cleaning, and lawn care maintenance. Call them today for an estimate. Here are some tips for having your home ready for a hurricane. Keep all trees and shrubs trimmed. Bring in all outdoor furniture, plants, or any other items that may become airborne due to high winds. Cover windows and doors with hurricane shutters or pre-cut plywood. Clear drains and gutters. And remember to secure important documentation in case you have to evacuate. Don't be caught off guard this hurricane season. Be prepared.
Ice the coconut got this. Cocoa skin driven madness. Juiciness ice the back. This sweet like sugar in a dripping like ice hot.
The King of the North is back. Power 104.5 FM.
Your #1 news team covering the North. The Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Welcome back. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, concluding its Community Emergency Response Team certificate training at the Forster B. Pistina Center at Christ the King Anglican Church. The 5-day course helps 25 participants spanning across various local government offices train in disaster preparedness and disaster medical operations. NEMA Training Coordinator and Operations Manager Lisa Bolek stating that it is now time to move in the realm of managing risks.
We're moving from the place where we're managing the disaster, and what we want to now do is manage risks. So before the disaster happens, we want to make certain that we have people who are skilled, who are trained, who are knowledgeable in how to lessen the risk of a disaster before it actually comes. But what we try to do during our disaster psychology session is we try to help the participants understand how to recognize issues or situations that's going on with them first. Being able to take care of yourself and your family is key before you can go out to help anyone else.
Director for NEMA, Stephen Russell, sharing that many organizations are investing in certificate training to be done on various islands. He congratulates the 25 participants for finishing strong and says they are now on par with other trained teams around the world.
I must commend the coordinators and organizers of this training initiative, as this is not only timely, but extremely necessary.
We have our partners from the United States Northern Command. They're now preparing now to buy over 200 kits for us to enable us to conduct quickly another 8 workshops in some islands, okay? So again, people are buying into this. You can say you are the latest batch of cert-trained persons, and you are on par with any other cert team around the world because of the training these persons have presented to you. I can assure you that.
Now, the CERT training course was introduced in 2004, but faced years where participation dwindled. The course was reintroduced last year and was recently held on Cat Island. Bolag says the goal is to host the course in Abaco and other family islands in the future. September is typically known as one of the most active months for storms. Representatives at the Evangeline Jervis Community Service Distribution Center say they need to complete their hurricane shelter, and a soup kitchen is becoming more urgent. The initial project completion date has already passed, and they lament the financial constraints persist.
Our initial plan was to have it finished by the end of August, which is the peak of the hurricane season. But because of lack of funding, we are stalled at this time. But we are about 85% completed, and if we could get the support of the community and any generous person out there, we could be able to finish it in short order. We need to put in our tiles, we need to get the cots ready, we need to complete the painting, and we have appliances already, but we don't have them in there yet. But as soon as we can get all of that settled, we'll be able to use it as a hurricane shelter.
Board member Carlita Carolina says at this juncture, about $300,000 to $350,000 is needed to complete the 4,200 square feet facility, which is expected to house some 250 persons in the event of a storm. Officials are now making an impassioned plea for financial assistance.
we're so anxious to finish the center because it will be used as a soup kitchen immediately. We are planning to feed as many people as possible, 1 meal a day as soon as the center is finished. God has been good to us. For the last 2 years, we didn't have a hurricane, and this year, well, it's been a mild season, and we're hoping that it'll continue. But we're not talking about if a hurricane will come, we're talking about when it will be here, because we're in a hurricane belt, and trust me, we will have another hurricane, and we want to be ready.
It's now time for your Tuesday evening sports check with Jay Philippe.
Good evening, I'm Jay Philippe, and welcome to Sports on a Tuesday. We have a whole lot of sports for you today. Let's jump right into it. Playoff action began in the Grand Bahama Amateur Softball Association at the softball park on the weekend. In all-ladies play, Team Alive defeated Buckeye 5-1. In corporate action, Round Memorial won by default over GB Power. Over in co-ed play, Port Authority got the win 8-3 against Pat's Uniform, and Express Food Mart dominated CLA Hitters 14-4 in all-men's play. Action continued on Sunday night with more playoff games. Team Immigration got the W against Cooper 17-10 in co-ed action.
Came second place in the regular season. They were rolling. They played a really tight defensively, offensively game. They were well balanced, and the victory said it. You know, the score dictated it. So they played the first game, so it's good for starts. We hope to get through this first round first. You know, one game at a time. We're not going to take anything for granted. You know, every team have their pride, and there's a reason why they're here. So we're just going to stay consistent and try to take it one game at a time, get a win, and then keep moving. You know, so I'm feeling pretty good. It's a good start. First game, it's a pretty good start for the first game.
Now in corporate play, Kelly's edged out Immigration 12-11, and in all-men's action, Pat's Uniform took care of business against Buckeye 17-6 behind Michael Sweeting on the mound. Playoff action will resume this weekend at the Sports Complex, Softball Park. Switching gears now in track and field, national record holder Devin Shelton closed out our season with a second-place finish at the Continental Tour Goal meeting in Croatia. Shelton clocked 12.86 ahead of Jamaica's Olympic bronze medalist Megan Tapper, who crossed the line in 13.03 for third place. From the track now to the diamond, Bahamian baseball sensation Jazz Chisholm Jr. has been sidelined for over 2 months, and with the MLB regular season winding down, the Miami Marlins officially ruled out their all-star second baseman for the remainder of the year. And finally in sports, Jonquel Jones and the Connecticut Sun will look to bounce back tonight in Game 2 of the WNBA Finals. The Sun lost Game 1 67-64 on the road. Tip-off time is 9 p.m. tonight. And that's a quick check on sports. I'm Jay Philippe. Back to you, Ramiko.
Thanks, Jay. It's now time for today's GBPC Efficiency Tips.
Hi, my name is Janelle Mizik, the Communications Specialist here at the Grand Bahama Power Company, coming to you with an energy efficiency tip on lighting from GBPC's Smart Home. Did you know that incandescent light bulbs emit light as a result of being heated? They consume a lot of energy and use about 90% of it to produce heat. An efficient replacement is an LED light bulb that can save you about 80% and last about 25 times longer. Additionally, incandescent light bulbs can increase the heat in your home and contribute to you having a higher cooling bill. To learn more about how the appliances in your home affect your power bill, visit us at the Smart Home in the Region Center or follow us on Facebook.
Have the following supplies on hand at the start of the hurricane season. A minimum 3-day supply of water, which provides 1 gallon of water per person per day. Minimum 3-day supply of non-perishable food items. Flashlights and extra batteries. A battery-powered radio to receive broadcasts that will keep you informed of the storm. A first aid kit. A 7-day supply of any prescribed medication. Don't be caught off guard this hurricane season. Be prepared.
That's what I told her. Bring the whining thing here. This is Reagan script, so show me emotion. Hey, wine and go down low.
The King of the North is back. Power 104.5 FM.
Your number one news team covering the North. The Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Antoinette Morris, you are our Facebook friend of the day. We thank you so much for your support. We also want to extend greetings to Don Lamar Parker. We thank you for your support as well. And that concludes the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. On behalf of the entire news team here in the North, I'm Ramiko Knowles. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to stay tuned. The Bahamas Tonight continues.
The Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas wishes to inform the public that due to a lightning strike, there has been a temporary loss of signal to its radio stations 104.5 FM, 107.9 FM, and 1540 AM. We are working diligently to rectify the situation and apologize for any inconvenience caused.
Coming up in the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report, industrial agreements signed, sealed, and delivered. School violence denounced. The body of the late Queen returns to Buckingham. And Government League basketball playoffs continue. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report, starts now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Akush Lapinder, and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. Thanks for tuning in. The Davis administration's keen on delivering on its goal to lock down the remaining industrial agreements before marking its first year in office. Today, that came in the form of 2 agreements leading to a slew of benefits amounting to millions of dollars. Our Desmond Saunders was at the office of the Prime Minister for the historic signing.
New increases in benefits for over 1,300 customs and immigration officers in the country. President of the Customs and Immigration Allied Workers Union calling the new industrial agreement marginal, but an offer union members accepted.
In terms of increases, in the first year we're looking at least 1 increment. In terms of an increase, 1 increment plus a normal increment. In the second year, they're offering 2 increments plus the normal increment. And in the third year, 1 increment plus the normal increment. Additionally, we have a small increase in the uniform allowance. We can say to the hundreds of customs and immigration officers who previously were not receiving shift allowance that they will in fact be receiving $250 shift allowance.
Now, Bahamas Customs generates millions in revenue each year. Minister of State for the Public Service, Honorable Pia Glover-Roll, says it's important to reward the hard work of Bahamians. She adds the $8 million industrial agreement signals a strong relationship between labor and government.
Minister, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis, which has translated through our Blueprint for Change, has committed to reestablishing harmonious working relationships across our nation. Harmonious tripartite relationships, and that has been evident since day one when we took administration by welcoming our trade unions back to the table immediately, by reforming and establishing an industrial relations unit that was ready to work on day one.
This year, we've seen extraordinary efforts by customs and by immigration in terms of step on the plate and driving the revenue performance of this country. In the day's paper, we talked about the revenue performance, and that is largely attributed to the efforts of the men and women in the Customs Department as well as the Immigration Department.
Officials calling this a new day for labor relations in the country. This is one of several agreements signed between the government and labor unions. Desmond Saunders for the Bahamas Tonight.
Meantime, after years of contentious negotiations, the 3,000-member-strong Bahamas Union of Teachers and the government have finally signed a new 3-year industrial agreement. Cleopatra Murphy has the details on that signing that all parties hope will signal the start of better relations between the union, staff, and the government.
A $3,000 retention bonus, medical insurance expanded to include dental and vision, increase in housing allowance along with a 15% salary increase over 3 years, down from the initial 20% Union President Belinda Wilson says it had proposed, among the benefits members agreed to.
In the first year, there will be 2 increments, an increase of 2 increments, which is $116.66, plus your normal increment of $58.33. In the second year, it's an increase of 1 increment, which is $700, plus your normal increment. And in the third year, again, it's 2 increments plus the normal increment.
Wilson says the union is pleased with the deal, but insists when it comes to retaining teachers, the retention bonus ranging from $3,000 to $1,500 is insufficient.
When they treat teachers better and show teachers that it's not just rhetoric, but what you say, you mean, and you show it. Once that happens, then they will always retain not only teachers, but quality teachers.
Minister of Education, the Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin, says the agreement demonstrates the respect and regard government has for teachers and their role in national development.
I trust that this marks the beginning of cordial and productive relations between the Bahamas Union of Teachers and the Ministry of Education as we move forward with our singular interest, which is advancing the cause of education in this country.
A long time coming is how Minister of State for the Public Service, the Honorable Pierre Glover Roll, described the finalization of the BUT agreement with senior negotiator in government's Industrial Relations Unit, Lester Turnquest, stating it is a solid one.
We would have signed an agreement with Bakawu a few weeks ago and also with our BEMU unit, and all of the agreements are identical. No grouping is disenfranchised in any way with the signing of different under different umbrella unions.
Recognition of those persons that give the most to the country, that the country seeks within its limited capacity to give much to them.
For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Cleopatra Murphy.
An alleged physical altercation between a principal and a teacher leading to a sit-out at an Eastern New Providence primary school. LaDawn Davis has the story.
Chanting Solidarity Forever, the more than 20 teachers here at the Thelma Gibson Primary School say they've had enough and want the principal at the school removed.
It's alleged that on Monday during normal school hours, the principal was involved in a physical altercation with a female teacher. Teachers claim that prior to that, she victimized those who spoke out against her, and she dismantled the reading and other special units at the Elizabeth Estate School. President of the Bahamas Union of Teachers, Belinda Wilson, also feels the principal is not fit to lead the institution and noted that the teacher is taking action.
The teacher has made a police report. The union's lawyers will be getting that report from the Elizabeth Estate Police Station today. The teacher will not drop the charges. She will stick to it. She is supported by the majority of the teachers at the school. And in fact, we've had numerous complaints and concerns about Mrs. Daxon. And if your memory serves you correctly, as mine does, it was Mrs. Daxon in 2019, the principal that had to be removed from Carlton Francis Primary School for similar actions. So we hope, I've sent a full report to everybody, actually, to the minister, the permanent secretary, the minister of national security, the union's lawyers last evening, very late last evening, along with a petition that has a number of signatures, not only of teachers and teachers' aides, but staff on the campus and parents. So we hope that for the smooth operations of Thelma Gibson Primary School, that the Ministry of Education will see fit to remove Mrs. Jackson.
Now, education officials say they cannot confirm whether a physical altercation did in fact take place. However, Education Minister, the Honorable Gladys Hannah Martin, confirming that complaints have been made, including a petition filed by teachers last week. She says education authorities are working diligently to ensure that the matter is resolved.
We have asked for reports from BEMU, which is the managers union, which represents principal, and from BUT, which represent the teacher or teachers who are engaged in or involved in any concerns or disputes. And we are analyzing those as we speak. The incident was yesterday. We got him, I think, late last night. And so the ministry will determine the best way forward. We cannot afford disruptions. I've just explained that in such detail. We cannot afford disruption. The greatest, the greatest levels of absenteeism we saw, based on the statistics that I saw, came from primary schools. This is very serious. This is very, very serious. These are not normal times. And so far as possible, we have to find common ground. Now, I don't know. We have to see what is this issue, and we have to resolve it as quickly as possible.
But while education officials seek to resolve this incident, we're told that the principal also has another court matter involving another school. Meantime, the teachers participating in Tuesday's sit-out are still not prepared to work with her and signed out hours before the school day ended. They argue that they will not return to the classroom until instructed by the Bahamas Union of Teachers to do so. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm LaDawn Davis.
Well, a plumbing issue that led to students of Stephen Dillard Primary heading home early Monday has been resolved. That incident comes less than a week after students at the C.C. Sweeting Senior High School were dismissed over electricity issues. The Minister of Education gave this update.
In the case of Stephen Dillard, I am told that it was one of the pumps that failed. They went this morning and they've replaced the pump. Okay, so the pump's been replaced. It's a thing, and the thing broke down, and it's been replaced. But all the schools are open, all the children in school, and I wish we would concentrate on how we can move forward our young people.
Well, still on education this evening, a stabbing on a school campus, raising alarm for education officials, also prompting prayers for the young victim. Cleopatra Murphy has their reaction on the incident and how they plan to address such incidents going forward.
The first position is that we will not tolerate violence on our school campuses.
The lunchtime stabbing of a 14-year-old male student of Anatole Rogers High, now left critically injured, is leaving more questions than answers. And Minister of Education, the Honorable Gladys Hannah Martin, says education officials must now determine how it occurred.
We will go back to analyze what has happened here, to review, and to respond as is appropriate in the circumstances. Because students are searched at the entrance, and somehow this individual was able to either come in with or access along the way a knife. And so we have to see what is necessary to ensure that whatever the scenario is, it cannot be repeated. It cannot be repeated in this country.
Questioned on the possibility of introducing metal detectors on school campuses, Hannah Martin says officials will do whatever is required, but there is reluctance to turn campuses into military facilities. In the case of Anatole Rogers, though, Deputy Director of Education Julian V. Anderson says the school has CCTV which police have viewed and metal detectors, equipment he says are on a number of campuses. Despite this and the presence of 3 school resource officers, Anderson acknowledges things can happen.
It's not a failure of the system, because we know that even in our best efforts, we still have lapses. For instance, you can warn a child at the gate, but they may throw an object over the fence and retrieve it later on in the day. Or they may even use their female counterparts as conduits for these objects.
Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson says the incident is very concerning, but says government has made an effort to shore up security officers and place school resource officers on campuses. But with a campus of 1,000 plus students, it can be difficult to man. She added that considering metal detectors on campuses are handheld, it may be time for an upgrade.
We may have to look at what we've been saying to the government for a long time. You may need to have a more sophisticated X-ray machine or detector for students.
Both she and the Minister of Education are pleading for parents to be more involved.
Talk to them, find out what's going on, see who their friends are, check the bikes, because they are coming from a home. So we can only do so much with the police, with security, with the teachers.
Parents, have to also be vigilant because these children are leaving their homes. That doesn't mean they're leaving with weapons, but somewhere along the way, those children are ending up on the campus with weapons, and we need all hands on deck.
For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Cleopatra Murphy.
Well, a 14-year-old boy is being questioned in connection with that school stabbing. According to police, he was arrested around 8:30 last evening at his home without incident and in the presence of his father. The matter remains under active investigations. In the meantime, police are urging young people to find alternative ways to resolve their conflicts. The education minister, certainly not the only one, decrying Monday's school stabbing and by extension the level of crime gripping the country. National Security Minister, the Honorable Wayne Munroe, expressing a similar degree of concern.
Students need to stop tolerating the 5 or 10% of students who cause people to talk about, oh, this is a generation loss. It is not a generation loss. When we see 50 or 75 students carrying on badly, and you add up the school population, and the school population is 1,500. You have 50 to 75 out of 1,500 students causing people to have this dismay. So firstly, we must recognize that it's only a minority of people who are doing this. If we don't weed them out, if we don't identify them to authorities, they will continue to make the majority of us look bad.
Monday's stabbing the same day. A video of the armed robbery of a Burnett Road business made the rounds on social media. The suspects in this case forced employees to the ground as they searched the establishment for money. Police have since confirmed that 4 men were arrested, 2 of them Bahamians from Montel Heights, the other 2 Jamaican nationals. Over $6,000 in cash was also recovered. The incidents prompting the National Security Minister to reiterate a clear message to the criminal element, and that's that the police will find you and you'll be called to account.
We have too many people giving, for want of a better word, poor people a bad name. Oh, their economic circumstances to drive me to rob. That's nonsense. You rob because you're a criminal. You have a bunch of people who are struggling who don't rob people. So you need to stop it. We need to stop tolerating this minority of people who give the majority a bad name, and that's across all criminal activity.
You're watching The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. Stay with us.
We are a leading Bahamian bank, one of the largest publicly traded companies on BISIX. Our measure of strength is our growth and performance, with over $1.7 billion in assets. We remain committed to serving the interests of our shareholders, staff, clients, and communities. The confidence to lead, the performance to remain. We are Commonwealth Bank, leader in personal banking services.
What makes us experts? Every bite. And while it's impossible to know how many there have been in KFC's history, each one of them is crucial. Because our secret travels from mouth to mouth. And we know that the first bite will never be the last. Kentucky Deluxe Chicken Sandwich, a triple breaded chicken breast, premium mayo, pickles, lettuce, tomato, and cheese on a buttery brioche bun. All our chicken expertise in a sandwich. Kentucky Deluxe Chicken Sandwich, only at KFC Nassau.
Car insurance, home insurance, marine insurance, this insurance, that insurance. The truth is, you may not like it very much, but you need insurance, and it has to work for you. That's why Summit insurance policies are designed with you and your life in mind, fitting your lifestyle and needs perfectly. So you can rest comfortably knowing that your car, home, boat, and business are well taken care of. Contact our agents at Insurance Management today. Summit Insurance. We peak above all others.
to think of the bank as my personal ATM machine. If I wanted a new car, new furniture, a weekend trip to Miami, no problem. Just max out the credit card or top up my loan. I was a big baller until I realized that 75% of my salary was going to pay back all those loans. Fidelity's personal financial coaching was the best solution. Fidelity gave me a plan with a debt consolidation loan that has a built-in savings that pays 5% interest. I now only have one low monthly payment plus money in my pocket. Give Fidelity Bank a call at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit any of Fidelity's locations or visit a website at fidelitygroup.com.
As the lights dimmed over London, the Queen's Royal Standard of Scotland draped coffin made its way to Buckingham Palace today, having left Scotland on a military plane. The Queen's coffin arrived amid cheers from a waiting crowd. As the BBC reports, the state hearse was received by King Charles III alongside his sons, Princes William and Harry, and other members of the royal family. This is said to be an integral part of the Queen's state funeral for Monday, September 19th at 11 a.m. UK time at Westminster Abbey. All the Bahamas following the lead of other Commonwealth countries in announcing this afternoon that the state funeral for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II will be observed as a national holiday on Monday, September 19th. Meantime, House members are set to return tomorrow following their traditional summer recess. Leader of Government Business in the House of Assembly, the Honourable Obi Wilchcombe, telling us there will be communications from the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition. The House, he says, will also observe a moment of silence before adjourning. Now, for those of you who haven't gotten an opportunity to sign the Book of Condolences for Queen Elizabeth, you still have some time. The Office of the Governor-General announcing today that it has extended the period to tomorrow and Thursday between the hours of 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. The Book of Condolences is located in the foyer of the Senate building in Parliament Square. Our reflections of a queen. Next month marks the 45th anniversary of ZNS Television, the crown jewel of that pivotal moment, the presence of Queen Elizabeth II. The events of that day etched in the hearts and minds of 4 ZNS employees. Carla Palmer has the story.
My name is Eugene Clare. Charles Russell.
Dawn Cartwright. My name is Andrew Cumberbatch.
4 different individuals, but each sharing one thing in common, more than just being males. They were all employed by the Broadcasting Corporation when the late Queen Elizabeth II came to the Bahamas to officially commission the country's first national transmission of colored television back in 1977. Now, more than 40 years later, following retirement for each, they returned to ZNS, where each began their careers as somewhat of a memorial tribute in remembrance of the late monarch's visit. As they walk the halls of the corporation, recalling the moments as though they happened yesterday. For Eugene Clare, he says, it was a tremendous time. He was a young engineer, just 24 years old.
As she came to, she was introduced to different individuals. One of the engineers, we call him Smithy, he, instead of him bowing, he curtsied. We took him to war with that. But other than that, it was a really joyful time that she came. It was a real eye-opener for me to know that we can do some things that will get the attention of the world, really. And I think it was a great time to remember in my career, being so close to a head of state, but just to know that she was here with us. That was a great feeling and confidence.
Charles Russell was the youngest employee at the time, hired as a radio production assistant straight out of high school at 18 years old. He worked protocol for ZNS when the late Queen Elizabeth came to observe the momentous occasion, connecting the Bahamas through television with the world.
My duty was on the outside, seating the guests. When she came, she entered the building and toured the facilities and then came back on the outside for the short ceremony. her grace, her poise, and always smiling. But I was mesmerized by the security of it all. I mean, everything was so detailed, and you had to stay in your position. You couldn't be moving all over the place.
Don Cartwright recalls the many meetings in advance of the historic visit. 2 full weeks of preparatory training, he says, and boasts that at 21 years of age, he was in the presence of royalty, in that of the late Queen Elizabeth II. So close he could have touched her, but dared not. He worked in master control at the time. In fact, he and Andrew Cumberbatch were reportedly the 2 persons who literally flipped the switch in the transition from black and white cinematography to colored television.
And I was sitting in master control at the switcher, and Mr. Johnson was walking the Queen's room, and we had a piece of equipment called the vectorscope. It's an instrument we use to check the with colors, different colors, shading, or when you're adjusting the cameras and stuff like that. So, but he was so excited in showing the Queen, Mr. Johnson, and he's calling it the vectorscope a superscope. So that was a joke from then to now,
To an 18-year-old boy to meet the Queen and coming in, just looking at her and just, I was just in awe. I was an 18-year-old boy. This is the Queen of the world. She smiles at you, and you feel like, hey, she's a grandmother. I don't think she was actually a grandmother at the time, but you just felt the persona, the way she carried herself, and I could see why a lot of world leaders loved her. I still like her to this day.
Now that an era has ended, these men say their memories they intend to hold dear, as it's an historic occasion never to forget. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Carla Palmer.
A paradigm shift for the local banking industry, each making the move to downsize. But what's driving the change? Well, our Carla Palmer did some investigating, and here's the first in a series of reports.
When asked why some banks might be downsizing or right-sizing and closing branches, most customers do not seem to know. They don't even have a clue.
I have no idea. I'm still trying to figure that out now. They said that it was closing, but they didn't say why.
That's shocking me, because I normally stop this area. If I in this area, I'd stop here. But other than that, it was shocking to me.
The Palmdale branch of First Caribbean is the latest banking institution here in New Providence closing its doors. Its last day of operations was August 31st.
I have no idea why they are closing, and I've been getting informed too that I should get an online account to do banking, but I haven't did that as yet because I didn't find the need to.
Although you may be oblivious to the facts, it may surprise you to know that as a customer, you are the reason for the changes taking place. And that's according to Governor of the Central Bank, Mr. John Roll.
It is being driven by the changes in customer behaviors and pattern. Some of those behaviors are being incentivized by the banks, but in general, we have access to more online means of doing banking transactions, making payments and receiving payments, and that has a natural reducing impact on some of the traffic that's being experienced. And so for the banks, from an efficiency point of view, it becomes necessary to reduce the branch network.
Simply put, less people are going into the banks, substantiated by financial trends, which suggests that more of you prefer using your digital devices to conduct your financial transactions from your desktop at work or home, or your laptop from any location, still at your own pace and comfort.
I can assure you that the adjustment that we've been seeing in the branch network for banks in the Bahamas is a process that is more than a decade long in terms of the reduction in the branch footprint. What I think is the complexity is that there isn't that perfect turnover switch in terms of when you decide that the amount of traffic that's happening in branch is not at the level to justify a branch standing on its own, and that's what's happened in many cases. And it's, as I said, it's happening also because the institutions are striving to be more efficient in their operations.
With a reported mission to be more efficient in their operations, as the banking regulator, Governor Rolls says, he's cognizant that not everyone is technologically savvy, but he is committed to facilitating public education through financial literacy campaigns. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Carla Palmer.
Now, time for this week's poll question. For those of you unfamiliar with how it works, it's simple. Just listen in for the question and then log on to our website, www.znesbahamas.com, as well as any of our social media platforms to answer. That's all it takes. This week's question: if the Bahamas were to become a republic, what type of republic should it be? A, constitutional republic, B, parliamentary republic, C, presidential republic, or D, federal republic? And remember, the poll's final results will be aired on Friday. Thanks for participating. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. Stay with us.
It's your honorary pump attendant here to educate you on the do's and don'ts at a service station. Here's what you don't do. Do not pull up from the pump without first checking that the nozzle has been removed from your car. Because if you pop this, that's about $600,000 to $30,000 to replace. These things ain't cheap. What you want to do is make sure that the nozzle has been removed, or just wait for the universal sign, which is the double tap.
Unlock the opportunities you never dreamed of. Discover the Global Learning Exchange. Get access to affordable, world-class higher education right here at home. Visit us online to learn more.
Have you been denied a U.S. visa and don't understand why? Have you been turned away from the U.S. border without an explanation? Maybe you've had a prior arrest or conviction and you're not clear on how to move forward at this point. Call our office. We may be able to help. 954-449-1833.
Throughout all of our family islands, a Family Guardian home service agent can meet all your insurance needs. We offer life, health, and property and casualty insurance policies to help protect you, your loved ones, and your assets. With offices in Abaco, Eleuthera, Exuma, and Grand Bahama, and agents throughout the islands of the Bahamas, a Family Island agent is always nearby. Family Guardian, at your service, at your door. For any inquiries, WhatsApp us at 357-9632.
Now on to some positive education news. Students and teachers of Sadie Curtis Primary School all smiled after receiving a $500 check from the Sunshine Pilot Club of Nassau. The money is to be used to purchase uniforms and other school supplies this new school term. Club President Sheila McPhee says it's a back-to-school project the organization started 2 years ago.
Under the leadership of our current projects coordinator, Yvette Hall, we thought this would be a good idea to get together since school has reopened. And so the $500 that we would have donated to the school today is to assist them to purchase school supplies for the school. In addition to that, pilot members individually would have sponsored 7 students, outfitted them for school for this school year, uniforms, the whole 9 yards. And so we are so grateful to all of our members.
Grateful for the generous donation, Sadie Curtis's principal, Shianda Maycock. Now, not to be outdone, the Rotary Clubs of Nassau and East Nassau recently provided 50 students from Stephen Dillard Primary with the necessary tools to start the 2022-2023 school year off right. Each student receives back-to-school vouchers used to purchase uniforms and shoes. In addition, students had access to an on-site mobile library where they selected a series of books to add to their home libraries. Acting on its motto, service above self, Rotarians demonstrated what can be achieved when all work together. Recipients expressed their sincerest gratitude, indicating that this gesture offered a great sense of relief and a ray of light during such difficult times. Well, police partnering with a number of corporate citizens, meantime, to host a job fair in the Balfour Avenue area on Tuesday. It's an effort to provide more employment opportunities for young residents of that inner city community. Police Sergeant Humphrey Bain, who's attached to the Urban Renewal Division, says these kinds of initiatives play an important role in helping young people make meaningful contributions to society.
Ensuring that our young students, our young people, they become more resilient to the negative influences that they may encounter day to day, whether it be gang recruitment, whether it be drug possession, drug usage, and all of the other negative attributes that go towards the degradation of not only the school environment, but our communities as a whole. So this program is more or less as a future-proofing of the Bahamas in a certain aspect to ensure that those citizens that will be coming up in another 4 years will start with positive influences and with the ability to make positive decisions.
Representatives from 2 local security firms are encouraging other companies to partner in these kinds of initiatives.
We're here today just being a part of actually a community effort where we're extending and opening our doors to persons that might be interested in dispatching services, receptionists, as well as security officers. And we are presently extending this opportunity where we can help the community to hire persons for these different positions.
Fill out an application, no need to be afraid that you haven't done security work before. We do training. Our training is mostly lecturing, and we prepare you for the field before putting you out there to work.
As we head to the break, we'd like to thank all our viewers watching us live on our social media platforms. And just in case you missed the news, be sure to head there to catch up. Stay with us. The Bahamas Tonight continues after the break.
Good to grow, keeping you in the know, keeping you in the know. God, if it's good enough to eat, then it's good to grow. If it's good enough to eat, then it's good to grow.
During a recent trip to Abaco, Minister of Agriculture, Marine Resources and Family Island Affairs Clay Sweeting, along with local government practitioners, toured the Grand Key All-Age School, which was severely damaged during the passage of Hurricane Dorian. Since then, some major repairs have been completed.
Mostly what we have done so far is plastering like 10 windows in and out, what been replaced after the hurricane, and then we can do about 80% of the painting, where the school really did need a lot of painting up. And now we get some little wood repairs what we need to do.
While Saunders and his team are busy on the outside getting the school back up to standard, teachers like Rashard Richardson have taken some classroom repairs into his own hands.
I was able to accumulate some new desks and chairs, and I decided on my Saturday break or Saturday weekend to come and put in some extra work because I see as though the walls needed some paint. Because it was beige, like after 2 years of being absent from the classroom, I think the students should come back to something vibrant, something that pops and something that catches their attention.
Richardson, who witnessed the damage his school sustained following Hurricane Dorian, described what it feels like to see the pieces coming back together.
It's just like a resurrection, and something actually like blossoms back. You know, so from a caterpillar goes into cocoon and come back to as a butterfly. You know what I mean? So we really got to appreciate the things that was donated and things that was. Just gotta appreciate life.
Now, while Richardson and the entire Grand Key community are excited to see the improvements being made, the best feeling was seeing students back in the classroom.
The energy has really been exceptional. Like, they are excited. There are pros and with everything in life, there are pros and cons. And not every student is tech savvy. And focuses through virtual. And to help them back here face to face, I gotta actually help them be hands-on, more hands-on than the internet drop-in. But right here, right now, this is where it's happening. This is where we need to focus on.
Keeping you in the know with Good to Grow, I'm Georgia O'Bain.
Hello, summer. Escape into summer when you fuel up with Shell. Every time you purchase $20 gas, you're entered to win your share of over $50,000 in cash prizes and fantastic trips, including a staycation at Grand Island Exuma, a shopping spree in Miami, and a 4-day trip to Las Vegas to see John Legend live. To enter, fuel up at Shell with $20. Go to winwithshellbahamas.com and let the fun begin. Say hello, summer with Shell today. Conditions apply. Hello, summer.
At the Nature Conservancy, we believe in working with fishermen and communities in order to improve the sustainability of queen conch in the Bahamas.
The crux of the issue here is that there are not enough mature conch staying in the water to reproduce and produce enough offspring to sustain the fishery into the future. So the project is to visit a number of fishermen in different parts of the Bahamas and showed them how to do the research on the queen conch and determine what may be the best proxy indicator of maturity by measuring multiple different parameters.
These engagements give fishermen and communities an opportunity to see how scientific research is conducted and be a part of that process. By the end, fishermen are asking for more information on how they can further be involved in research.
Knowledge is power. You know, a lot of people want power, but they don't want to get the knowledge. I think what you're all doing is real helpful for us to give us knowledge. I learned something from this meeting today.
We hope that by conducting these engagements, the Bahamas can be an example of how communities, researchers, and government can come together to work towards sustainable fisheries, not only here in the Bahamas, but around the world.
From using headlights to illuminating runways for emergency flights to personal vehicles and trucks exporting the sick and injured, the story of family islands facing medical crisis goes on and on. But as Antoinette Smith tells us tonight, an initiative is underway to see to an upgrade of emergency and critical care services.
It's an age-old vexing problem.
We've actually thrown persons on the back of trucks and taking them from the clinic on the boat and then trying to get them into Nassau. It's been very difficult.
Emergency medical response on family islands, a less than ideal circumstance for critical care patients on the receiving end. But it's an issue Ministry of Health and Wellness officials are quickly looking to address. These changes set to start on the island of Eleuthera, where the facilitation of a, quote, new and improved robust emergency ground transportation service is underway.
Our training for that program will begin in about 7 to 10 days. I believe there's 2 residents here from Harbor Island who will be a part of that training, and they would be responsible for moving sick patients from the clinic to the ferry boat, and from the ferry boat, another group will actually be in North Eleuthera to move them to the airport.
It's a move that comes after years of public agitation from Family Island residents, many of whom have decried the length of time it took to transport sick and injured loved ones from their island to the capital. For the island's medical staff, the changes feel almost personal. For the first time in a long time, having a shot at giving their patients a better chance.
We look at the time frame of us trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to get this person? We have to call the relatives to assist. We have to call another person. We may not have a truck available. All of that is very time consuming, so we have to then keep the patient stabilized and try to do it ourselves, and it's been very difficult doing it. So we feel that because we're going to have EMT services right here on the island and on board, that's very exciting.
A set of ambulance and critical instruments already sourced for designated North Eleuthera clinics.
We intend to improve manpower resources as well as the physical infrastructure so that the services can be delivered in a timely fashion and high quality as a representation of where we're going to provide the same quality services on our family islands that residents of New Providence and Grand Bahama have the opportunity to receive.
The training comes as the Ministry of Health and Wellness undergoes Phase 2 of its Family Island Healthcare Improvement Plan. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Antoinette Smith.
You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. Stay with us.
Throughout our lifetime, we must all make decisions. No matter how we choose, the right one just needs to be made. Like having J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents and Brokers as your insurance partner. We've been serving the Bahamas for over 100 years. Whether you need home, motor, marine, or commercial insurance, make the right decision. Call 397-2100 or visit jsjohnson.com.
JS Johnson Insurance, peace of mind. We elevate, elevate, we elevate, elevate, we elevate, elevate, elevate.
For more than 3 decades, several days a week, Great Commission Ministries has provided hot meals to hundreds of those in need. This is an organization that has truly earned a reputation for rendering assistance. They've partnered with us for a long time, and in fact, they've become an extended family of sorts. And so when family calls needing help for its Save the Children Back to School initiative, we step in to lend a hand.
Very important for BTC to partner with agencies like Great Commission to assist those that are in need. And, more initiatives like this for more people are very important.
With you guys, BTC, you've never left us. Great crew, you partnership with us. Okay, so it's just that it's another day for you all, and we thank God for the support that you have given us. What is happening is we have a Save the Children Back to School every Saturday, and they're now here, and these are stuff that was provided by BTC for them, and it's just here for them to take fruits, snacks for school, their first day or two. Things like this is just a little extra. And again, I must say thank you, BTC, for your continued support.
We're happy to join with Great Commission Ministries in demonstrating that a little help goes a long way. Here's to wishing all of our students, parents, and teachers a safe and successful school year. These are still the moments that move us. I'm Corvell Pyfrom. Be well and be back here. Next, BTC Connection.
Welcome to the Cable Bahamas Business Solutions Cybersecurity Tip of the Day for default credentials. Default passwords exist with almost every operating system and application. Point number 1, check the default passwords on all hardware and software and change passwords immediately. Test the credentials to see if they are still valid. When changing passwords, make sure that the new password is strong, unique, and stored securely. Remember, stay safe, stay informed, and stay protected.
Mario thought he could have his cake and eat it too. He almost found out the hard way that if you don't insure your home for the full replacement value, when it comes time to make a claim, you won't get the full payout. It's called the condition of average. If your $200,000 home is destroyed by a hurricane, but you only insured it for $100,000, half the value, you'll only get half of that $100,000 payout. Actually, less than that, because there's also a deductible, which will be deducted from your payout. Check your home insurance policy for the condition of average clause and ask your insurance agent or broker how condition of average would affect you. This message was brought to you by the Insurance Commission of the Bahamas, protecting the interests of policyholders.
When you wanna save money on your tile supplies, who you gonna call? The Tile King. When you tile your house and you wanna look good, who you gonna call? The Tile King.
Visit the new Tile King showroom, which is internationally recognized as the finest tile showroom in the Caribbean, located in the Builders Mall on Wolf Road.
The Tile King. Who you gonna call? The Tile King.
Tiles on everything.
This is ZNS Total Sports.
The Government League basketball playoffs continuing at the D.W. Davis Gymnasium last night as the B-Docs challengers and Team Rampage would hook off in a decisive game with 3. Vance McPhee would lead the way for B-Docs with 17 points. Rashad Woodside and Cameron Cherry each chipping in with 16 as they would send Team Rampage home with a close 75-71 win. Keithan Gray would add a game-high 22 in the loss. The challengers now move on to face the Ministry of Economic Affairs at Baines and Grantstown Cybots in the semifinals, tipping off on Wednesday. Well, tonight at 9 p.m., Jonquil Jones and Connecticut Sun will try and tie up their WNBA Finals series with the Las Vegas Aces at 1 game apiece. The Sun would be unsuccessful in Game 1, falling 67-64, thanks in large to the performance of league MVP Asia Wilson. Jonquil and the Suns' game plan to stop Wilson heading into the pivotal Game 2.
Well, I don't think it ever felt tight. I think it was just, it was just basketball. We were shooting shots and they weren't going in, but ultimately we were playing great defense as well. And so that's one of the things that I talked to you about is like, finding the wins within the game. And so, yes, we weren't hitting the shots that we know we can hit, but we were also playing good D. And so ultimately we'll be all right. I think, she can score the ball. Ultimately, she's able to score at different levels. I think that's a tough challenge. She's attacking the rim really aggressively right now, so it's tough. So I think just throwing bodies at her, making sure we're congesting the lane with all really good players in this league. It's not just one person; it's a team effort. And I think we kind of locked in a little bit better in the second quarter with understanding that we have to show a little bit more bodies at her, give her more congestion, and kind of guard her as a team. So I think that was the biggest change.
The University of the Bahamas men's soccer team hit South Florida for an anticipated 2 matches over the weekend. The first match against Atlantis University was canceled on Friday because of severe lightning in the area. But the match against Florida Palms University on Saturday was in 90-degree heat. The Florida Palm Owls came out strong against the Mingos and scored in the 12th minute, then again in the 35th minute to lead at the half 2-0. The Mingos had more opportunities on goal early in the second half, but just could not find the back of the net. The Owls, though, were able to score 3 times quickly in the 55th, 63rd, and 69th minutes. Joshua Johnson was not going to let the squad down, though. In the 83rd minute, he was able to connect to get the Mingos on the scoreboard. The final score was 5-1, and assistant coach Alex Thompson said the team played well.
We have quite a few new players. This is the first time that they would have traveled and played collegiately internationally. We got some valuable experience, and we're in the process of implementing a new playing style. And we saw where our strengths were and also the weaknesses, so we know what we need to work on going forward. Our center backs, or one in particular, looked very good playing out of the back.
There you go.
We have speed on the wings, and we have players who are dangerous in and around the attacking third.
And we end tonight's sportscast on a somber note as we hear the ZNS Total Sports team is saddened to report the passing of Bahamian sailing legend Jacob Higgins, who's been a central figure in the sport of sloop sailing for several decades, most notably serving as the Commodore for the Mayaguana Regatta. His son reflects on his legacy.
He has been a pillar of strength for his entire family for all our lives, and has really been someone who has made a significant impact in our lives. He would have been known a lot in the sailing world, having owned a boat from the mid-60s, I think he told me, that boat being the Snake, and eventually coming on to Cobra, which of course is the most memorable of his boats.
And that's been a look at sports. A check on weather when we return.
This is ZNS Total Sports.
Being the CFO at this young age, it really is very fulfilling to me, and it really shows that the hard work, the hours that I put in my career, they really paid off. Having such young persons in such a key role really shows that the board of directors have a lot of trust in the leadership of the young people. Being committed to excellence means that you put all of your effort into whatever it is you're doing to get the best benefit out of that task or anything you're doing in life.
Samantha's always on point. She doesn't miss a thing. When she signs up for any insurance policy, she reads all the fine print. She knows what's covered, what's not covered, and she's aware of her deductibles. When it comes to insurance, it pays to know your policy. Review every insurance policy so you know what you're covered for. This message was brought to you by the Insurance Commission of the Bahamas.
Hey guys, it's that time of year again, the Atlantic hurricane season. Are you ready? Here's another ZNS hurricane readiness tip to help you prepare. Your roof is one of the most important parts of your home to prepare for a hurricane. Antonio Miller addresses the idea that a roof is only good for 20 years and tells us what to do to get the roof storm ready.
If you have a roof that is more than 20 years old, it's highly unlikely that the whole structure is going to be given away at the same time. You should be able to identify whatever weak spots that are in your roof. May that be shingles missing because of past winds, past storms. May it be drip cap rusting.
This has been another ZNS hurricane readiness tip to prepare you for the storm.
Did you know that if a fire starts in your home, you may have as little as 2 minutes to escape? Keep your family and home safe with these few fire safety preparation and prevention tips. Ensure that your home has working smoke detectors. They will alert you if there is smoke and fire in your home. Install a smoke detector on every level of your home, inside each bedroom and outside each sleeping area. Test smoke detectors every month and change the batteries every 6 months. Home fires can spread rapidly and every second counts. Create an escape plan and practice it with everyone in your home. Make sure everyone can safely escape in less than 2 minutes. Keep escape routes as clutter-free as possible so no one trips or falls on the way out during an emergency. In addition to smoke detectors, fire extinguishers is an important device to have on hand. To use a fire extinguisher, remember the acronym PASS. Pull the pin, aim the nozzle, squeeze the handle, and sweep from side to side at the base of the fire. We must all do our parts to ensure that our families and homes are safe in the event a fire occurs. On behalf of the Commissioner of Police, the Director of Fire Services, and all officers of the Fire Department, let's work together to help prevent fires, because fire safety is everyone's responsibility, and the life you save may be your own.
Well, that does it for the Bahamas tonight. Thank you for continuing to make ZNS your first choice for news and information. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better than ZNS. From all of us here at ZNS, thank you for watching and good night.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
Royalty is a mixture of myth and reality. It's the